Hello, everybody. Welcome to Virtual Offline Podcast. Today,
Hello.
we're talking about a relevant topic to two people in this podcast.
You
About
too. You too.
true. I'm not living through it right now, but I have lived through it before. Moving internationally, specifically Canada to Korea and back to Canada again.
A trip of a
For
lifetime.
across the world. What is it? Like 16-hour flight?
I think it's only been about 14
14?
hours. It
Okay, maybe
used
I'm
to be
counting
longer.
from a part in Canada to another part in Canada.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you still gotta get to your actual place of dwelling, you
True,
know?
true, true. So for context, I lived in Korea for 3 months, so I lived there short term. But you guys, how long have you lived there?
Like 6 years?
Yeah,
Oh my
Something like
gosh.
that. 6 years.
it's been a while.
It's been a long, long time. So
It's
originally, I went to Korea just for funsies. But you guys worked in Korea.
we did. Yeah, like we used to work at most of the jobs you can get when you're in Korea, especially as a foreigner, are teaching jobs. Now, they're not necessarily teaching jobs for qualified teachers. You don't have to be a qualified teacher to get a teaching job at a Korean school or even at a like a private school called a Hagwon.
Which can be an upside, but also a downside.
Agreed.
Mhm.
I feel like we have a lot of opinions on that one. So I don't know if everyone knows this, but Fofa and I are qualified teachers.
Mhm.
So we went to school for education. Like we have 2 degrees, one in like our main source of like main course of study and then a degree in education. So when we chose to go to Korea, it we didn't have to have a teaching background. I mean, I feel like it was helpful, but also a hindrance at the same time because we have expectations. And yeah, so we got jobs at a teaching at the public schools. So 2 systems. Hagwon school is like the private schools that happen after regular school hours, right? So we got jobs during
Like
like
a
the
cram
days.
school.
Yeah. Yeah. But we worked at the public school. So there's a few programs that you can join, similar to like if you were to join like the JET program in Japan. There's something like that in Korea as well. And you kind of work with another educator, with a Korean teacher, like a Korean English teacher, or sometimes not an English teacher, but a Korean teacher nonetheless who is teaching English. And you would work with them, alongside them, or you would teach one of their regular scheduled lessons, kind of thing. Fofa and I are like, but eventually we moved away from the Korean school system and worked at like international schools, which only hire qualified teachers. So there's like a whole like change in visa process because it's you can't have the same visa. It's like it's very particular.
Know
But
that
yeah.
about your guys' visas.
Yeah, they had to change. There's 2 different kinds of visas. I guess like the the one you have as an English teacher, meaning you can only teach English and only in a converse it's literally a visa for English teaching and conversational English only is an E2 visa. And most people when they come here, that's the visa they get.
I knew that even on other visas, it's very specifically states that you can't speak or you can't teach English. Like
Yeah,
I had a
conversational
tourist
English.
visa and I
Mhm.
was absolutely not allowed to teach English.
Yeah.
And I know also when you have a student visa, you have to be a student for, I believe, 6 months to be able to tutor.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I
That's
didn't know you could
interesting.
tutor.
Tutor or work, I think. And I think it was
Yeah,
very specific.
I mean, the working kind of makes sense. You want to make sure that they have like actually
Mhm.
committed to their studies, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And then another visa I've been interested in is working holiday, which I know quite a few people like to do that one.
Right. But it's nice for Canadians without like those visas too. Like you can get a visa and stay here for what, 6 months?
6 months. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know
Yeah.
Canadians have that kind of agreement with Korea about, like a 6 month kind of like reprieve from visa
Yeah.
requirements. So when you came to Korea, Jamie, did you have to get a visa? Because you were here for 3 months.
I didn't have to do anything out of the ordinary. Like I just pretty much came as if I was traveling kind of thing. Didn't have to fill out really much paperwork.
So it's like just a
Similar to just
long
going to like
vacation.
the States or another country,
Ah,
I guess. Yeah, vacation. I
interesting.
did think it was interesting because I think they take a picture and scan your thumbs at the airport.
Yeah, they're like, let me just click your face here, and then you have to like put your fingerprint in the reader. Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
no, it's the two.
yeah.
Yeah, your two index fingers, and you're like, "Ee."
Here
Yeah,
I am,
yeah.
coming in.
I'm coming in with my finger guns.
My fingers. I don't even think they asked me, like, I know when I have traveled to the States flying wise, they usually ask, like, what your purpose is, like, your travel purpose, but
Yeah,
I don't
Right.
think
but
going
the
into
US
Korea
is
they
like
asked me.
really intense. It's like,
Yeah,
what's the purpose of your visit?
and it's always
It's
me
a
going to a
connecting
con
flight.
too.
It's like, why are you entering the US? I just said it's a connecting flight. I'm gonna be here for maybe like half an hour. What's
We're
the
gonna have to
purpose of your
inspect your
visit?
bags.
We're gonna need to search your bags. I'm like,
Oh.
It's like I flew into Chicago and I feel like I had the most panicked moment of my life. I was like, this airport is too big. And they're like, why are you here? I'm like, I'm flying to Korea. No. They're
I'm
like,
not even
oh,
leaving the airport,
I know, but they
please.
they open up your bag and they're like, what's this? And I'm like,
Oh,
oh
my
no.
underwear.
my skivvies. Why?
Ah, yes.
Or other, items, and they're, like, just, like, in there, like, searching in your bags, and you're like, "Why?" And it's, like, out in the open. It was very awkward. It's very scary. Yeah, I
it's
So
mean,
just annoyed.
intimidating and stressful.
you're just annoyed.
Yeah, it's like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
I
Like,
mean, I feel like
why are you
Canada's
asking
pretty
about how long
strict
I'm
too, though.
staying? You should know this. Because I just gave you
Mm,
you just took my ticket, right?
yeah.
But they wanna know that because like, it's the same thing in
You can't
Korea.
even leave the
People
airport.
overstay their welcome.
What am I gonna do?
Mm.
Not get on my plane and just be like Tom Hanks?
I'm
You're trying to just sneak into the state.
Yeah, you wanna come into the States and you're gonna stay there and hang out in the
Yeah,
airport.
I get to do yeah, hang out in the airport, not have a real bed, possibly look forward to the future of escaping the airport and having to
When
pay for healthcare. I
when you
love it.
came to
Oh.
Korea, like, was your flight straight through?
My flight was from my small city to Toronto. Okay, no. On the way there I went from Winnipeg, Vancouver, Korea, and on the way back I went Korea, Toronto, home.
Oh.
The to Korea, Toronto was actually kind of nice.
Yeah, it's not too
Yeah.
bad because it's like a
No, it's
straight
not.
way.
Yeah.
How about you, Fofa? I don't remember what your flight was because you and I were on different
Direct
flights. You had
flight. Oh yeah.
I
Direct.
I was so I don't know if everyone knows this, but Fofa and I could not come to Korea at the same time. We were not so
No, I
we
didn't know
both
that.
yeah, we both applied for the same program.
Oh yeah,
And
they didn't accept me because
I knew you
I
guys were
was
in different
too
cities for a bit,
Korean.
right?
yeah, we were in different cities. We both applied to be in the same city. We both applied as a couple. And um they were like, "Oh, I'm sorry. You're Korean. You can't be part of this program." Which was so weird because
We're
there was
afraid you might use Korean with the students, and I'm just like,
I don't speak Korean.
I don't speak Korean. And they're like, yes, but many people say that. I'm like,
And you're like, I am the
okay.
least Korean person ever. Like, oh man. I do remember when we were first applying though, you're like, it'd be nice to get in touch with my roots. I remember you said that, but I think that was just your excuse for going along with my insane plan to move halfway across the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you didn't. Yeah.
Have you guys ever flown business class?
Fofa.
How was it? Was it worth?
Well, for those of you who don't know, flying like the Air Canada business class is equivalent to flying first class. It's really nice.
Ample
I'm so
leg room,
jealous.
good
Ample
snackies.
legroom, good food. I'm so jealous.
I've only done it once. It's very nice.
It's very nice and very expensive.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, I know.
It was 4 times more expensive.
Oh man,
It was all
yeah.
of our spending money.
Oof.
I mean, yeah, I didn't get to fly business class. I'm so sad. I've always been stuck in economy and like Fofa and I are really tall. So like our
I was
legs
gonna
get
say, yeah,
cramped
I
in
don't.
there.
I'm short as heck, and like the plane, I can stretch out a little bit. Tall
I have to
people,
like put my legs out into the aisle and I'm like, "Oh, thank goodness." Or I have to get up and walk around. Oh, it's very yeah, the flights are it depends on who you fly with. I remember my first year flying. So like when I went to Korea the first time, so I left what was it? 2 months before you, Fofa? Month and a half? Yeah. So I flew before you, but I flew with I think a random airline that I don't know. I'm pretty sure like the first
Asiana.
airline. No, but it wasn't Asiana to Chicago because I had to fly to Chicago first, right? Because mine was like I had like a 4-hour layover in Chicago, but we had to stay in the airport. It was awful. It's like I flew to Chicago, had to get on this like weird train to change terminals while carrying all of my baggage. And I mean, when you're moving to Korea, you have a heck ton of baggage. You're like, I don't know what I'm gonna need. But you like, so I'd like carry my bags, trying to get on this weird train thing, going to another side of the airport, and it was confusing. And then the people, like you had to check in and everything. And that process was long as heck because there were so many people. And then we finally got on the plane to Korea. And I remember my trip was awful. My first trip to Korea was so awful. From Toronto to Chicago, from Chicago to Gimpo Airport. And from Gimpo Airport, you had to walk. And it was a 30-minute walk to the other terminal. It was like you were outside carrying all your baggage and you're with everyone else who's like getting off the flight going to the same, like it was, and then flying to Incheon. Like from Incheon to Gimpo, or I don't know, whatever. It was one of the ways you had to get from one airport to the other airport, but they're all up north. So you have like Gimpo and Incheon. We went from one to one and then to Busan. It was terrible. It was like a 24-hour trip of doom. And I mean, for like your first trip and you're like panicking, you're like, I'm going to a new country. What do I do? And you're trying to like meet people and make friends at the same time because you see some people on your flight who are like going to be in your program, right? So like you have like the program that you're part of, you have to do like a training, like an orientation when you first get there, right? The memories. I remember I was the weird one who kept you know those neck things
Oh yeah,
that
you
you
had
wear?
to stay in a dorm.
Yeah, I did. Don't you? Yeah, we were at a university. Our orientation was at a university. I got so much walking done. I had to climb up mountains to get to classes. Like it was ridiculous. Yeah, but it was like we were at a dormitory and I had like a room with someone. They were nice. We didn't really stay friends afterwards, but they were nice. Yeah, it was a very odd experience. Too much flying.
I barely remember mine.
Your
I think
orientation.
I just with like it was like a nice 12-hour flight. Then
You came to me.
yeah,
Yeah.
I went to your place.
Yep. You got to sleep and I made you food and we went walking and we went on some trips together.
And then I went there and it was just at a hotel.
I was so
I don't even remember
sad.
my roommate.
Long hair. Was that your roommate? I don't remember who your roommate was.
I don't know. But all I remember is that I laughed really hard at their vegan food.
Because Korea
And
doesn't
ham
really
in
have
it.
vegan foods
Oh.
though.
Oh no.
This is like and like the thing is too is that like at the time the director of the program like was very like, oh, I'm the best. I'm the most important foreigner, and then like just doesn't take the time to like go over anything in fine detail. So hence like yes, we have vegetarian meal options, and then you look and you just look at like just never took the time to like think maybe vegetarians don't eat ham.
Oh no.
Because the thing is it was the hotel staff that was making the meals.
But like
and they were
he's done it for
mostly
so many years.
I know, but these are mostly like traditional Korean foods that you would eat at lunch. Because I
Mhm.
remember, because I switched programs afterwards, because Fofa and I weren't in the same city, and I was too sad. So I left my city and moved to Fofa's city, and went into that program. And it was all like traditional Korean foods and like really good
Yeah,
Korean
it was
foods.
good.
Yeah, it was just no. The vegan options. It's like, I'm eating kimchi, but I'm vegan. Kimchi is not vegan. Warning. Warning. There's fish
Oh no, go
paste
ahead.
in it. There's fish
Oh, fish
inside.
paste.
There's
I
those
was just,
little tiny baby shrimpies inside. It's
oh
not vegan.
no.
No.
Oh no. Did they have when you guys traveled, did they have the Korean food on the airlines?
Yeah, for like
Yeah.
breakfast and stuff, they would have like the
I
what
remember I
is it
had
called?
jjajangmyeon one flight.
It was just like, do you want
What?
these stir fries or like what's that? What's that like Chinese breakfast soup thing? What's
The
that
egg
called?
one. The egg one, right?
The
Like
egg
you were
one.
talking about the egg one. Ah, congee.
Congee. Yeah.
It's always the kanji. It's
Oh.
always the kanji. Yeah. I mean, like, it was kind of like mostly stir fries, but you always get kimchi. There's always kimchi. When I was on Asiana, it was more like it was less stir fry-ish and more Korean meal. And the
I
same with Korean Air.
remember on my flight too, they tried to do a thing where they were trying to adjust people to the time differences and pretending it was day and night. Did
Oh,
they do that
yeah.
on your flights too?
It doesn't make a difference.
No.
It's it's like it's dark outside. They're like, "It's breakfast time," and you're like, "What?"
Well, like they can't really adjust for the time anyway because it's just like
Yeah.
it's like they're flying so high anyway. So like if you just open your window, it's like blazing
Super
light.
bright. Yeah. I think I sat in the middle, so I didn't look at the window.
Oh, I think I always, like, have an aisle seat. I always choose an aisle seat for the leg
Yeah,
reason, for the
yeah.
but it's always, like, there's the window, I can still see it, like, in that the side section of you know what I'm saying?
I think
And
Imperial is just always the best, especially for long flights, because you don't wanna have to, like, crawl over people to get up.
yeah, exactly, like, I stood up so often during that flight, and you know those neck things that you would have
Yes.
like, you okay, so I remember there was only like a few other like I could see like foreigners on the flight. And I was walking around with this neck thing on my neck because I was like, I'm just, so comfortable. And I was wearing like track pants and I was like, I'm ready in my flight gear, like I'm just comfortable. It's a long flight. So
Comfy clothes are a must.
exactly.
You
Like,
have to, especially if you're flying for that long.
Yeah, so I was getting up and I was stretching often and walking around because I get very bored and like if I don't do that, I'm gonna like just go crazy. So I was up and walking with my neck thing on, and I remember this girl when we got off the flight. She's like, "Oh, you're that one who was you're the weird one wearing that neck thing on the airplane, right?"
The neck pillow.
It's so funny. The neck pillow is great.
Pillow, especially
should
like
bring a
for
neck
like
pillow on a
a
long
12-hour
flight.
flight.
I
Yeah.
know. I know. I was just wearing it around and like I was just like comfortable and I didn't know like I was flying alone, so I didn't want to leave anything too whatever in my seat because I don't trust people.
Don't take my neck pillow.
Don't take my neck pillow. Yeah. But that was like the
Why
one
would you
thing
take your neck pillow off?
I
Keep
don't
going.
exactly.
Yeah, that's so weird. They're
Exactly.
judging the neck pillow.
They're
It's
judging
so
my
common.
neck pillow. I don't know.
Basically, like the way I see it is like I don't give a crap because like when am I gonna ever see these people again?
Yeah. Honestly,
I mean,
like
I
long
met some
flight,
nice
you can even
people,
wear
though.
pajamas. I know
Oh.
some people pack pajamas for those flights, but like I don't know, just wear like comfy pants, comfy
Yeah,
shirt.
usually like just like track pants or like stretchy yoga pants and a pair of comfortable shoes. I always wear running shoes.
Yeah. Though
And
sometimes it's good to bring or wear your heaviest jacket and heaviest pair of shoes
instead of
just so
packing
that
them,
you don't
that's
have to
true.
pack them.
Yes, that was also something that I always was taught. Wear your
Yeah.
heaviest stuff. But the problem is like if you have a lot of luggage,
Yeah.
then trying to carry that afterwards
Yeah.
is awful. Just awful.
Just a bad time.
The other
Just a
option
bad
is just to
time.
freeze. Like, I mean, I flew to Korea in February, like beginning of February, and it was warm, but like not, it wasn't Canada cold. Do you know what I mean? But I still had my winter coat and I still wore it around, but I was like, it's too hot. So I was
Korea has 4 unique seasons.
it's true. There are 4 distinct seasons in Korea. If it's winter, it is winter. You get down to -10. I feel like it's not much colder than that. Spring is
we
very
don't
much
think
spring.
it's too cold.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like
It doesn't
like
even
fall
get
weather in
cold
Canada.
here. Like
We did
I
have
I
snow.
brought a winter coat and I'm just like, do I need this?
I think you wore it like only 4 times.
In 6 years.
You guys don't have the full length coat, the Korean.
I have the
staple?
Korean padding.
Oh, do you?
I have
Oh my
padding,
gosh,
but
Teacher
it's
hot.
the Korean
Or was it
padding is
teacher
they're
cold?
like
Teacher
why
hot.
do you wear this like why is like they call it padding. In Canada, I think we just call it a bubble coat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And basically
Or like a long
imagine
parka.
having like a bubble coat that like goes down to your knees. So like you just look like you look like an alternate reality Michelin man.
The
And
dark.
they're like, why do you wear this? They're like, oh, because it's very style. And I'm just like, so just imagine a bunch of Korean people, right? like rocking around like they look like the freaking Michelin man with like bowl cuts. So like you just see like these like bowl cut Michelin men just like roaming the streets, and then you're just like, oh, it can't be that bad. Now also think of the conformity.
Mm.
And then you just like you could literally walk into like a store and every single customer has a bubble coat and a bowl cut.
Yep.
Like men and women.
Yep.
Yeah, it's true. So true.
Or the rollers in their hair. Like the
Men
middle
and
school and high
women.
school. Yeah, the rollers in the bangs.
Mhm.
It's so
Definitely do
funny.
not need a coat in summer, though.
Oh
If
God.
you're just going for summer, like,
Just
If you're
pack
going for the
nothing.
summer,
Just walk around naked. It's too hot.
if you're going in summer, just don't.
yeah, summer is really hot.
Summer
Pack a
is
towel.
yeah, pack a towel to wipe up all your sweat because you're gonna need it. It's
God.
like it's
Carry around
hot and
wipies. Yeah.
humid. It's always humid.
No,
Like
pack a raincoat.
for monsoon season. That's
Yeah.
true.
It rains really hard. Like, you think it's not gonna rain hard? It rains so hard that like you just like basically it could be like sunny and nice outside, and then you go to a restaurant and then you're like as you're eating, all of a sudden like the sky turns gray, and then all basically it's like someone like turned on a move. It's like the Shawshank Redemption when he like crawls out of the sewer outside. Right?
Oh, it's true. And then like the ground too is like got an inch of like water.
Yeah.
So if you're
Oh,
wearing
yeah.
like certain type of shoes, you're just gonna be walking. I remember when it
Walking in
was raining
puddles.
really hard, I just wore like slides, like sandals, because
Yep.
it was like there was no point to wear any other shoe because it was just gonna soak through.
I wonder if Vessie's shoes would be good.
Did I ever tell you the story about me walking to school in the middle of a monsoon?
No.
I don't think actually it was a typhoon. It wasn't even a monsoon. Okay, so there was this really bad storm in my first year here in Korea, and it blew apart. So if you know anything about Busan, there's Haeundae Beach, right? And it was completely destroyed. Like the whole walkways and paths and everything were like blown out into the water. There was like cars being moved into the ocean from the storm. Like the barriers were destroyed. And I still had to go to school. And
God.
I will tell you, my friend and I, we lived in the same apartment and we were walking together and she was like, "Oh hell no. I am not going to school." So she called in, she went back inside her apartment and like took the day off. And I was like, "Man, I wish." But like I had to walk. So from my school or from my apartment to my school was about 15 minutes. 15-minute walk. And as I'm walking, the water was up to my kneecaps, like it was up to my knees. So I had worn, what did I wear? I had worn a skirt with a pair of sandals because I knew how wet it was going to be. And I put in a plastic bag in a backpack with a plastic bag around the backpack. I put like an extra change of clothes. And there was no point in putting an umbrella out. It was too windy. You couldn't wear a raincoat, and because it was just gonna get wet. Like you just walk and get wet. And I was trudging through the water, like trying to climb. Like I was on like the top of a mountain and then I had to go down and then up again. And there was so much water and so much rainfall and the wind. And you're like, oh, like those movie storms where the people are trying to walk through and they're like, oh my God, they've got their arms up trying to block their face. That was me.
Scene in Parasite with the flooding, and it's actually pretty accurate for
Mhm.
parts of Korea.
Yeah. It's very common. Yeah.
Mhm.
I just brought my camping stuff. So, like, I had the water, like the Gore-Tex pants that you put over top of your normal clothes, the Gore-Tex raincoat, and then, my camping
Fofa loves
backpack
Gore-Tex. Okay.
that you could that had a backpack cover. So, like, I'm like, oh, it's going to rain. You can't use an umbrella because it's so windy. And so I just put that stuff on. I'm just like, okay, I'm fine. I just go outside.
Yeah. But you also didn't live like we didn't live in a coastal city. I feel like there was a video of how bad the storm was. But like yeah, there's a lot of rain, especially during monsoon season.
Mhm.
There's also rainy season. So outside of monsoon season and outside of like the normal like stormy season, there's rainy season too. So like in most I don't know, I feel like it's most areas in this area like in this part of the world we have rainy season. Like heavy rainy season where it rains every single day. usually like that's like July here, but it didn't really rain that much in July.
It's
It's
definitely
raining
good to
now.
look up, like, what the seasons are like in each part of the year, because I definitely think I brought a lot of too many warmer clothes when it was really, really hot all summer.
I I
Even
I
in May, it was
yeah.
already hot.
Mm,
I think it depends on like what country you're from, or like what kind of
True.
weather you're used to.
Yeah.
yeah.
So like we're
We're
used to
we're a
cold
little
weather.
yes, we're
Whereas
used to
like I
cold
think like
weather.
if you're like from like Florida or like Texas or Arizona or something, you'd be like right at home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my South African friends thinks that they think it's cold. Like
Yeah.
they're freezing their butts off.
Oh
Because I've
yeah.
seen videos of
They
people
were
talking
cold,
about it,
weren't
they
they?
say, like, "Oh, Korea is so cold in the wintertime, -10," and you're like, I'm from a
I,
place where it's -40 in the winter.
I remember some
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, that just
-10
reminded
is
me
shirt
of
weather
like,
here.
I'm just like, it just reminded me of like of my Greek friends. They're like showing me pictures of their like of them being like in the wintertime, and I'm just like, oh, it's like, oh, those are nice, those are some nice thick winter jackets, but why is it green in the background? And they're like, it's winter, and I'm just like,
What's the temperature?
what was the temperature? They're like 16 degrees, so
Oh my
cold.
god.
I'm like negative 16, and they're like, no, that's too cold, and I'm just like,
Yeah, like Korea, I feel like if you like look up average, so when I was thinking about coming to Korea, like the big thing that they'll always tell you, there are 4 distinct seasons: summer, spring, fall, and winter.
you mean summer, less summer, least summer, summer's coming, it's summer.
I mean, they say that there's 4 distinct seasons, and there are. Spring is like one of the most beautiful times in Korea. It's gorgeous with the plum blossoms. So we don't really have like they're not cherry blossoms, they're plum blossoms for those who are curious.
They look the same.
They don't. Also, if you have a chance, plum anything in Korea is delicious. Meshil, oh, so good with sparkling water and like the meshil, like this, like the syrup. Ooh, that's the best. That's so good. But nonetheless, like spring is really beautiful, but it's freaking hot. It's hot in the spring. It's hot.
Yeah, because summer's coming.
Yes, summer's coming. And in the summer, I remember our like our you were here in the summer too, Jam. Like I
Yes.
remember because you guys came to visit us
We
in the
visited you
summer.
on literally the hottest weekend of the whole year, I'm
And it
pretty
was
sure.
awful. Yeah, we
Yeah.
were sweating our butts off.
Also, the big difference I noticed, like, from Canada, at nighttime in the summer, it cools down a lot. In Korea, at
Does not.
nighttime does not cool down at all.
No.
It was
I
still, like, 40 degrees at night.
Yeah. Since
and
the
I'm pretty
summer's
sure
been here, like literally our air conditioner's just been on 24/7.
Yeah.
because it
Mhm.
gets too hot if it turns off. Like you start instantly feeling like
Yeah.
like you're
Yeah.
suffocating.
Yeah.
The only downside living with Sly is Sly likes the temperature at like negative, like at the like basically the lowest setting possible. So like a frosty 18 degrees. I'm just like,
That's
it's
not even cold
too-
enough.
It's too cold. And then like I want we have an air conditioner like right above our bed, and we wanted to have it. I want to have it at like 22. So I was like 18. And like
I
literally
wanted to go to 16,
you know what Sly
but that
does?
doesn't work.
You know what Sly does? She literally curls up in like a thick comforter, and she's like, the temperature is perfect. And I'm just like,
It's not a thick comforter. I have one little warm
you have
blanket.
2 comforters
Only
and
this
a
morning,
thick and a
'cause I
nice
was all
warm
cozy in
fleece
there.
blanket.
And so I only wear the fleece blanket because most of the time you have the comforters and you twirl them around your body and so that no one can get them off.
Yeah,
So I
because you
get my
steal
one
it.
blanket. No, I get my one blanket and it's the perfect temperature. And sometimes
Blanket
Fofa will turn it back to like 24 degrees, and I'll turn it down when Fofa's sleeping.
Yeah, and
I
then we
remember
got
I always
cold
had
'cause
the
you stole
fan
my
going.
comforter.
I wasn't scared of the fan death.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing in Korea too, is the fan death. The idea of fan death, leaving your fan on while you sleep and then suffocating.
Yeah.
For those who don't know what that is, like, Jam, do you want to explain what the fear
Yeah.
of fan death is?
So I think what I heard was
That's
it
what kills the
originated.
K-pop.
Okay, this might be the
K-pop groups. All their fans
conspiracy a
die.
little bit. Is like that they originally stated it so that they would conserve energy at night because people would run their fans at night. So they like misinformed people that if they ran their fans at night, you would suffocate and die. It's not true.
Nope.
But like they are really scared of it.
It's not just that. It's like there's a whole thing too about having an aircon, an AC, I don't know, an air conditioning, like your air conditioner on and not having a window open. So,
Oh
yeah, so they
I forgot
were
about
all
that.
I'm sorry, we're going to need to open all of the windows. It's like it's 38
That
degrees.
doesn't make any sense.
You're teaching. It's hot and it's humid. There's no AC in the hallways. You have it on in your classroom, but you have to open the windows. And all of the Korean teachers would open the windows and let all the humidity inside. And they're like,
It
if you
negates
don't,
the
you're going
air
to get sick.
conditioning. Why have the air conditioning on?
And you
We
can
have the
only have it
window
down
open.
to 25.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Yep.
basically like, I know you're cooking a pie in the oven, but it is healther for the pie if we open the oven door while it is cooking.
Oh my gosh. So true. There's a lot of little quirky, weird, superstitious-y weird things when
Yeah.
you move to another culture that then you go, what?
Like in
Why
big,
do we
tall
do this?
buildings, the number 4 is usually replaced with an F,
I think
or
that's
it just
normal.
skips it
Oh,
all
yeah.
I
together.
think that's normal. F to pay
Yeah.
respects, right?
I mean, we live on the
F in the
4th floor.
chat.
There's definitely a 4 here.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe that's why no one wanted to come to this floor. What did what I know you and I guess Gimme, you guys came together to Korea.
Yeah.
Just and I know she was here for a super long time too. Like
Yeah.
she stayed for a long time. When you guys first came, you came in the summer, but what would be those things that like you would definitely recommend bringing?
Okay, okay, I have a couple things. In Korea, weird thing that you cannot find easily, or at least I found you couldn't, a big size towel. Weird, but true.
Yes. You
Like,
have to go to specific stores for that.
They use little hand towels to dry off for the most part for showers.
True.
So if you're staying in a place like an Airbnb or maybe a place that like doesn't provide things, you're gonna get little tiny towels. So I brought my own towel, like a
Same.
big towel. Another thing, Koreans don't typically use deodorant. Us smelly foreigners need to bring our own deodorant because you're not going to find any, or at least not easily, and it's going to be expensive.
Okay,
Oh my gosh,
so
I've taken all these
Fofa
things
has
for
a
granted.
theory for this though. Why do Koreans not need to wear deodorant, Fofa? What's the difference between my body odor and your body odor? Like what's the difference between like who needs it and who doesn't?
When you
You
sweat,
know?
you stink.
It's
You
like
stinky.
It's
like,
actually a scientific thing.
it is. Okay,
Yeah.
so here's the thing. It's like Fofa, when Fofa sweats, Fofa doesn't smell. Like it's almost it's so weird.
It's like a protein or like a bacteria, the way that
Yeah.
it reacts with
Us.
Korean sweat. I think it's some other parts of Asia as well. They
Yes.
just don't have the protein that makes the stinky smell.
The stinky
So they
smell.
don't need deodorant.
But
Well,
there is other smells in Korea.
I mean,
Yes. Yes, there could still you could still be
People still smell
stinky.
bad. It's
Yeah,
Yeah, people smell
possible.
but
bad.
it's Oh my
And
god.
like I think the first thought is people would jump to the conclusion, oh, it's the deodorant. No. It's just
No.
hygiene.
There's people everywhere that can have bad smell.
Yeah.
Bad
But like the big
Hygiene
thing
and
here is like
garlic.
garlic and kimchi smell.
Mm.
That's like the
But I
two
mean, like,
things
to
you
be
are
fair, it's
100%.
really good. I mean,
You like that?
I mean, if I know I'm not going anywhere,
Just
I'll
load up
eat
on the garlic.
I'll just
Mhm,
eat like
same.
raw garlic, and it'll be like, yes, I am not going to be going outside for the next
I
2
thought you
weeks.
meant you liked it. Like I like that stinky
The
garlic
smell.
kimchi
We
smell on
call it the
somebody else's
ajashi
Oh
smell.
body.
yeah, yeah. I love
Mm.
like going into a cab and then like a
So bad.
Oh
I don't like that smell at all
no.
because you know what? You don't realize that the things you eat impact your
Mm.
body smell, right?
Yes.
So like in Korea, we have a lot of fermented foods, a lot of very like strong flavors, right? So things like kimchi and garlic kind of tend to seep out of people's pores. And now this is disgusting, but like it really does. And I remember Fofa and I going home for the first time and my parents saying, "You guys smell." And I don't and like both of us are
Mm.
like, "We don't smell." And we smelled each other and we didn't smell anything. They're
Got
like, "You
used to
guys
the
kind of
garlic.
smell weird." And it's the garlic and kimchi. And they're like, "It kind of smells like
yeah. But we
smells like."
eat. Here's the thing. We go all in the Korean food,
Mm,
right? So that's why we stunk.
You stinky. Though I've heard the opposite. Well, not opposite. I've heard that Koreans think that about people that come to Korea that eat a lot of dairy. That they
yes,
have a
yes,
unique like sour smell because Koreans don't eat as much dairy or drink as
dairy.
much dairy as people from other countries.
Yeah. There's a lot
Mhm.
less dairy here. I feel like it's kind of more like there's a lot more exposure to like foods from around the world nowadays.
Mhm.
Like now, because it's like more people are kind of visiting like American style restaurants or like, you know, there's like special like UK pub style restaurants and like I mean it just depends. But yeah, they don't eat as much cheese as like we would
Yeah.
back home. Mm.
No,
And
for
I know that
sure.
there's a lot of people who talk about the differences in like the sour dairy smell versus the strong fermentation of kimchi smell. Yeah.
Interesting though. It's
Hmm.
kind of the because we don't notice it and then they
Yeah.
notice it and then we notice the
They're
kimchi smell.
yep. Hmm.
Oh,
Nonetheless, bring a big
also
towel
yeah, bring a big towel.
and
I like
deodorant.
how that's my number one. The big towel. You're gonna miss your big towels. Make sure you bring one.
Yeah.
Another thing, for anyone who wears makeup or uses like hair care products,
Yeah.
I think if you have like a favorite or like a go-to,
Oh yeah,
you
bring
should
it.
bring it or a couple of it. Especially foundation, because in Korea, there's like usually 3 shades.
White, whiter, and bleach.
Yeah.
And
For me,
secret,
I'm
most of them
very
contain
pale.
bleach.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a problem finding like like I'm very very pale, like very very pale, ginger
Yeah,
pale.
you white.
So I didn't have a problem, but I'd imagine anyone who's even just a little bit tan would not be able to find like a decent shade here.
I mean, they have like the more here's the thing, like they do have it if you go to like a larger city and you can
True.
visit like a Mac or like what's the other like there's a bunch of like very expensive brands, especially if you go to like the department stores, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is that they cost twice as much as they
Yeah.
would back home. And even then, the shades are very limited. But I will tell you one thing with like the foundation shades here, if you do wear foundation long term in Korea, your face gets more pale because most products have whitening in it and I will tell you my freckles have disappeared and it's very sad.
The
My my
your
beautiful
freckles.
freckles, yeah. I used to have some color and now I just look at myself and I'm like, "Damn, you're so white. What happened?" Like
Is there
No.
anything you guys would recommend packing? Especially like I only went short term. Is there something like long term? I remember Fofa, you were talking about your pillow on stream not too long ago.
Oh my god, Fofa's pillow.
Well, I mean that's a really particular thing. I would say for everyone else, I'd probably recommend like bring power tip adapters, because often a lot
yeah.
of your electronics are compatible with the voltage, but they just don't have the right tip. If that makes sense.
What is the voltage in Korea?
240,
like
220,
220.
220
220?
volts, and it uses like a European style
Plug.
The European style plug though is a little bit smaller than the Korean. Like it still works, but it's a little bit smaller than the Korean plug. I don't know. If you put them side by side, you can see the difference.
And
Very, very subtle. Power tip adapter. I'm trying to think of like what I would recommend.
I think actually a lot of you don't actually have to pack a lot of like I was surprised when I got there like there's lots of convenience stores, so you don't necessarily have to get like toothpaste or like bathroomy stuff. I would say is really easy to get.
For women, I don't know if like we
Oh,
can like, talk
yes.
about this, but for women, tampons
oh yeah,
are not really a
tampons.
thing.
Oh gosh,
They're
yeah, you
not
need those.
they're not really a thing here in Korea.
They're more of a thing now though.
But even then the selection is very limited.
That's true.
Mm.
So very limited. So I always would go to like Costco back home and like stock up on like Tampax or whatever and bring them over because you couldn't really find them, especially in the smaller towns. Like in the main big city,
or if you
sure.
find them, it's like here, have the cardboard applicators.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's true. So I mean,
Remember
for
too,
for
even
women,
the
yeah.
selection of pads was kind of iffy sometimes too. So if you're particular, I would say bring what you like.
Your sanitary products. I mean, you will find
Yeah.
something that you can use while you're here. I mean, I'm kind of more investing in like not this sounds
Yeah,
weird, but
like
like
the Diva Cup. Diva Cup would be
environmentally friendly options. The Diva Cup you can buy it here. Yeah, I mean like there are other options. But yeah. That's a different topic. But
Yeah.
like that's a thing that I was really hard pressed to find when I was in
Mm.
Korea.
I can't really think of anything else. I mean,
Bed sheets are a little bit weird in Korea.
they're not so bad now.
They are, it's because I knew where to find like decent bed sheets, but like they're not, they're like always like padding toppers, you know what I mean? And they don't.
Oh, bring your credit card.
Oh yeah.
Tell your bank
international
ahead
credit
of
card.
time that you're going to be going to Korea, and bring your credit card because it basically works everywhere. Like Korea used to be really heavily cash based, and I mean
Yeah.
like if you go to like one of the local markets, you're gonna have to pay cash. But like now everything accepts cards, and you'll be able to use your Visa or your MasterCard in most places. If you have Amex, or you probably won't be able to use that. So like Visa or MasterCard, I would say Visa would probably be the safest bet, and then you could use it anywhere.
Anywhere.
Also, speaking of that, I know there's only certain banks that allow like foreign cards to take out cash as well.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's that is yeah. If you're ever in Korea and you need to with like emergency cash from your account at home, you're gonna need to go to KEB Hana, and they have a special global ATM.
I
where
think
you can put your debit
Citibank
card in.
also has like a global ATM because it's like
Yeah, but it's not
Yeah.
it's not as nice.
I mean,
Like legit,
Yeah.
KEB is like the best option, because like
they also have like if you can't open, so I don't know if this is like still, you weren't able to open a Korean bank, right, Jam?
I think
When
you
you
need
were
to have a
an
ARC,
ARC.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to have a visa. And when you get your visa, you get something called an ARC or an alien registration card. And it's like your what is it called?
Aliens.
Social insurance card? Like your SIN card? I don't know what it's called in other countries, but like it's like your piece of identification with your registration number on it.
Mhm.
And you have to have I think you have to have a visa for
Yeah,
that.
certain visas.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
that allows you to get a phone plan. That allows you to open up a bank account, like a Korean bank account that basically gives you like options. Because if not, you're kind of screwed. Like you couldn't get internet. I remember like first moving here, no internet for probably about a month while they issued the ARC. It was awful. I took internet from my neighbor because they had an open Wi-Fi source. And even then, it was too weak to like stream off of. So I had a like not stream like Twitch stream. I mean like stream movies and stuff from Netflix. So I had like my hard drive with all of my movies on it from before.
Mm.
That was like my life.
Yeah, I remember when we came, so I didn't have a phone plan when I came at all.
Mm.
I went and rented a pocket Wi-Fi
Oh
for
yeah,
my
you
whole
told me about
trip,
that. The egg.
though I always had to worry about it being charged. So I used to carry a battery bank around with a connector that would charge it and my phone. Because if the pocket Wi-Fi was dead, I didn't have any way to talk to people. And then Gimme went and she had to get somebody to like do a prepaid SIM for her because she couldn't do it herself, kind of thing.
Yeah, when I first got to Korea, I went to a convenience store and bought a SIM card, like a prepaid SIM. That was like my first, I guess I had, although you don't really get a lot on those SIM cards, it's like 200 megabytes or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's something.
It'd be actually pretty cheap though.
Yeah, they're not too bad. It was like 30 bucks. And I mean, it's worth it because everywhere has Wi-Fi anyways, right? Like
Mhm.
Korea is like Wi-Fi central. Go into any restaurant, you get free Wi-Fi, right? The password's like literally right in the front of like where you're ordering whatever from, right? Right there.
Or like
Mm.
000 or 60.
Triple
Like, what's the password? Bilibo no.
uh
It's like 6
Kimi
zeros.
Pono Gong. You're like, okay,
The
okay, thank you.
One of the first things I'd recommend doing when you get to Korea is go straight into a convenience store and get a T-Money card.
Oh, the bus cards. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
I
remember
forgot
those.
about those.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
our
guys
bank, my
you guys
bank card
tried.
just I got a bank card that just
Has it?
just has
When
it
I
built
picked up
in.
Fofa from the airport, that was
Mm.
like one thing I was like, I have this card for you. Here is a card, Fofa. This will get you on the bus and everything. Cause like I was set. I knew what Fofa needed when Fofa got here. I think Fofa had like the most easy transition
Oh.
because I
Oh,
was
it's
like,
so
I
easy.
am ready to take care of
Yeah.
you. I've got you.
Oh. So for those of you who don't know, behind the scenes, we have like whoever's hosting. So today Jamie's hosting, and like we create like a little docket. We're about halfway through the docket. So I mean, we planned to move like 2 years ago.
You guys have been planning this for a long time.
Yeah. Like I'm like, sorry. You know, that comes back to like the visa thing
It's
though.
kind of like kind of locked in. Like I can stay, but
Yeah, I can't.
I mean like Sly can't stay. I'm not staying. I'm not gonna stay like alone.
Would you miss me too much? Is that what it is?
Yeah, who's gonna
Turn up the AC.
who's gonna blast the AC when I'm trying to sleep?
Sorry, not sorry. Who's gonna do all the Korean things that Fofa doesn't do? Like the phone delivery application.
Yeah, who's gonna order all the delivery food that we could just eat
Fofa just
home-cooked
starves.
food?
It's so funny because it's like I you can pay on your phone, right? With these phone delivery applications, right? And I set that up with my Korean card and like you can just like press a bunch of buttons and go through, but it's all in Korean. And like Fofa always makes me do it. And she's always like, "I wanna eat this." And I'm like, "Okay." So we're, like, scrolling through, and I have to find the food, and I have to search for the food, and I have to order the food. And I'm like, "Fufu, why don't you do it?" "I don't know how." I'm like, "What? Learn. It's not hard."
But it's my easy way of not having to do it.
I know. Ugh.
It can be a bit daunting at first.
I don't know.
mean,
I just like going to the place and like what I used to do before was like when Sly and I were living in separate parts of Korea,
Yeah.
I would just go out.
I mean, same. I would, like, go out with my friends and just go for food, or I would cook at home. You didn't really do delivery, or yeah, you just go to the restaurant and you're like, "I'm gonna have takeout, please." Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'll have 포장 주세요. 포장.
Help. It's really easy to actually learn how to read Korean, and
Yeah.
it helps a lot. Because then you could read a menu, and a lot of the time the menu
It's
actually
Konglish.
uses like English words. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what do you want?
Spaghetti.
Pizza.
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 You just need to
Chicken.
know juiceo.
Please. Juseyo,
Juiceo.
please. Please. Juseyo.
Or you could even just learn 이거. 이거 주세요.
Igo.
This please.
This one.
이거 주세요.
Igo.
이거.
Yeah.
이거 주세요.
Are you? And they always like. I know like some places have like an English menu, and they'll like give it to you because they're like, all right. And then you're like, point this one, this one, this one. I want this one, this one.
This one. It's nice when there's the pictures too.
Yeah, the pictures
이거.
help.
이거. This one.
And they're like,
This one right here.
알겠습니다.
네.
Okay, so I guess like we'll do the living in Korea as a part 2. Yeah?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, like
Yeah,
and
there's lots we
subscribe
can
to
talk
check that
about.
out.
What's it like living in Korea? Well. Hear more.
Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye-bye. Like and subscribe and leave a comment. Or else.
Well, I don't
Getcha.
know. See you later, everyone.